This is the compost breakfast. We're going to go out into the garden. We'll go one way and come back another. And you can turn it back from here and look back through the barrels. You can see the original barrel is that thing in there with that angular roof. And then later on I actually added a small barrel. And then when I ran out of space and had a family, I put this bit on up here. I'm a good scavenger, and the house is probably on average about 80% recycled. And then we go into the garden and it gets pretty jungle-like. I'm a permaculturist, and you can have a raspberry as you go by if you want. My name's Craig. I'm originally from Australia. I've been living here for the last 50 years. I'm a potter, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, I'm a gardener, I'm a builder. It took me, I'm still working at it, 50 years in this place and 78 years of my lifespan so far to get where I am. I like to sort of mimic nature and have it as abundant and as wild as possible. And there's a little geodesic dome there with corn and things like that need a bit of heat. I'm coming up to a compost heap. I've got compost heaps littered all over the garden, and we'll find the chickens. The chickens are free range. They can hang out all around the garden wherever they wish to. From a permaculture perspective, they have multiple functions. So they eat all the slugs and snails. They do all of the weeding. They lay eggs, they shit everywhere. They've got lots of good things. They're not just a piece of chicken. They voluntarily come into a shed every evening, and I lock them up. Tock, 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 tock. Anybody home? Tock, 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 tock. You're on TV, guys. So watch out. The flock is about 20 years on now, self-regulating. The only time I'll eat a chicken, it'll be a rooster. Too many roosters will create too much havoc. This little part of the garden in here, whoops, yeah, you'll do that. You can see it's pretty abundant. This is only 6 months old, reclaimed part of the car park here. We grow about 80% of all of our fruit and vegetables and make probably 100% of our wine and jams and herbs for the garden. Basically, you can see the car park. It looks like it's pretty desolate. And then turn around and you see this same patch is, it's reclaimed. It's probably 6 years on now. And it was all pretty much like what you see underneath my feet. It was compacted. All the services came in through this plot. I'll recycle anything practically. Many people can't understand the garden because it's not formal and in sort of, you could say, segmentation. As you can see, it's pretty healthy and wild and free, but there's food everywhere. You could say I was born in a redneck area with really good loving Midwestern parent type of American style. I was barefoot for the first 12 years of my life. By the time I was 10, I had my own gun. I was meaning to bring food into the table. It was idyllic, it was perfect, and that's where I've learned a lot of the skills that I have today. I like this as a great scene because we've got the chickens, and here's a compost toilet. It goes back into the garden as well. And it's mostly me and my immediate friends, and I know that none of them are on any sort of medications and things that would make it. In a natural system, that's what happens, it's all recycled within so it makes it richer and more viable. It's a sad thing that people are scared of their own waste. And actually it's not waste, it's actually nutrient-rich material. The name of that chicken is Bossy Boots. She's the queen of the pack. I do have collection points all around the house of water butts. But in Scotland, it rains all the time practically, so I don't have to worry about the water side of things. The whole process for myself is I don't see any of it as work. The way people say, oh man, I've got to go and work in the garden. If you have that type of attitude, then don't do it. To me, this is just fun and natural, and this is the rhythm of the day. Getting out of Australia was really important because all I had was history books, and I could look at these things, but there was no meaning to it. It didn't exist, not there in the bush. And then I left, and I staggered around the planet for 8 years in complete cultural shock. This is real. I've read about this, or I've seen this, but this is where it is. There's history here. I'm going to take you over and show you a place called the Earth Lodge, which is my little, I wouldn't say temple, but it's a place that I made because it's a space that I need. Around the back over here is a sweat lodge. and then there's an earth lodge in here, and I'll just do a quick walk and then we'll go back. With all due respect to the North American Indians, sweat lodges are not just purely North American. They came out of Siberia. It's a great place to beat drums and play didgeridoos and do all those sorts of things and just be in a primal connection between earth and sky. And for me, this is the sort of space that actually gives me the grounding that I need. Wow, what a day. Really brilliant. For me, it's a challenge to talk about it because I don't want it to be seen as a panacea, because our culture is one of addiction. I came here out of London. I happened to end up in London in the mid-60s. And at that point, I was an alcoholic and I was suffering from cancer. I had prostate cancer when I was 24. But somebody gave me some LSD. And it was the doors of perception shattered. Coincidentally, in a way, I was just at the right time for it to actually say, now here's your next step. Can you handle this? The way they were going to cure me in those days was to put me underneath a cobalt radiation. And I went, no way, I'm not going to go in here. This is deadly. It's killing me. My hair is falling out. I'm throwing up on the street. So I went off and did a 3-year retreat in a Buddhist monastery, a place called Sami Ling. Welcome to the barrel cluster. They're not actually barrels, they're big whiskey vats. You can see the entirety of them. They're a beautiful little shape. This is the original. Well, this one has got an underground. It's got 3 floors in it going through to the top. There's something about circular spaces. They're more inspirational than just boxes. So the original vat is here. This is the floor of it. And you can come up into the space. There's a lot of different, you could say, clutter. This is my washing. This is where I dry all my clothes. And the original barrel was here. The kitchen was in the corner. This is the living room. The bed's up there. And there's a bathroom and toilet around the back. So it's contained in one tiny little space, but not big enough for a family. So eventually I put on another tiny barrel down around the back here. Everywhere's got something happening. This is the office, so-called, if you need one. So this is another small vat. It's dug into the sand dune. External doors everywhere so that nature comes into the building as much as possible. This was a conservatory at one point, a greenhouse. And then I put on another piece. This part down the bottom here is actually not a whiskey barrel. It's an octagon, but it comes down. It's a labyrinth. It's really great. It's a TARDIS. And this is 90% recycled, this part of the house, and built out of natural timbers from the forest or from the plantation. And then we can keep coming around and through. The power's off the windmills, so we have our own small wind farm. And as I said, I'm an artist and I need space to create and play with. Everywhere there's something happening. This is the highest peak of technology in the house. It's a big heat exchanger, so this is where I exchange heat from the wood stove or from the solar panels. And this is a multifunctional room. It was where I actually, when I started to look at ecological building a little bit more, 25 years ago, I thought I would build a passive solar part of the house. So that's due south with big windows. There's no heating up here other than solar. And you can feel it's not a bad temperature today on a big windy day as today. Yeah, it's also my bedroom. And there's a potter's wheel out here where I actually throw.
Do you find anything better or worse about living in your working space?
I love it. I want to do that. I want to live in the space. I'm just that sort of person. I just like total immersion. It's like surfing, you know. There's another little greenhouse attached to the house. And then it's going to get a bit more wild out here. Bit futuristic. I like it. I come out here and I go, oh my goodness, this must be utopia. Where is this? But here we are. You can see there's a lot of whiskey vats, so-called, dotted around. If you wanted to, you could go up there, but do you want to go up there? Okay, here we go.
Real quick though, why did you shape the roof like this?
Oh, this is a reciprocal frame, and seeing it's a circular structure, it's really hard not to have the roof push the house apart, push the barrel apart. So this is locked in, it's like the earth lodge. It will stay locked in, it can't pull apart. Woo! But that's the Findhorn Bay over there, and this area, with every 200 years the rivers coming down into the bay flood, and this whole area goes underwater. So the Findhorn village has disappeared at least 3 times in the last 600 years. So we're probably due for another one. I'm just doing what I like to do. It's self-creating in a way. I'm not sort of planning it too much. I act very spontaneously and intuitively. And the other thing I like about it, it's very flexible. It's not static. Everything has a sense of meaning. One of the mottos in those days was let the old die and just build the future. So that's what I've been up to for the last 50 years in this place. All the time, questioning my own identity. Who am I? What privileges do I have? I feel I'm actually one of the most privileged people on the planet. I've got it made, but I've done it all with a minimum of amount of finance. Being dyslexic, and quite strongly dyslexic, I found that I couldn't think rationally very well. And when I was asked questions or had to respond to life, I had to do it intuitively, where I go, what is the right thing to do? And allow that to guide me. I don't want to actually have to pick up the bottle or the glass and drink it and keep doing this sort of process to keep myself sane. I want to find a way in which the lifestyle and my attitudes are self-generating.